Very impressive.
I'd hoped you would be pleased.
Welcome back to Rancho Obi-Wan. A favorite part of the collection for a lot of people who visit is the art gallery. And by art, it can be everything from fan art to fun art to fine art. Let's take a look at some of the pieces. Standing guard is a chainsaw C-3PO from Canada. It was cut out initially with a chainsaw, and then a chisel was used to get some of the finer parts. It's only 3 pieces: the body and the 2 arms. Amazing job.
Well, at least you're still in one piece. Look what happened to me.
This is one of my favorite pieces. It's a pencil sketch done by Tom Jung, who was the artist on the very first Star Wars 1 sheet. And this is Luke Skywalker looking up through the firing bay of the Millennium Falcon. And talk about fan art. Here is a traditional Mexican tree of life, but as you can see, the Star Wars fan club of Toluca has added some other factors to it. I've made a lot of friends with artists over the years, and I'm proud to have some of them in the collection. This is Matt Bush. Matt Bush is a true fan of Star Wars, has done a lot of Star Wars art. This particular piece was not published. It was commissioned for the cover of a giveaway magazine for Episode 2, but instead they decided to use the poster art. So it has found a welcome home here at Rancho Obi-Wan. Sculpture is great too. Here's a Gamorrean guard done by Legends in 3D, and then you have a sculpture like a Boba Fett from Compulsion Gallery in the UK. And this is solid resin and coated with pewter. As far as really cool art, a friend of mine, Randy Martinez in Southern California, who has done a lot of cartoons for Insider, also does fine art, knows that Obi-Wan is my favorite character, and has done this piece called Regrets.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
He was the best star pilot in the galaxy, and a cunning warrior. And he was a good friend.
There aren't very many pieces of art of the women of Star Wars. This is a particularly nice one done by an artist named Carol Freund. She's gone from being a fan artist to a fine artist. This particular piece ran on the back page of Star Wars Insider in 1999. And then here's a piece that surprised us all. This Tom Taggart collage has wonderful dimensionality to it. But when it was published as a Topps card, it looked non-dimensional, and that's because the artist photographed it that way. Of course, when you're talking about Star Wars art, there's one name above all, and that's Ralph McQuarrie, the original concept artist. These 2 pieces have been published in books, but this is a different version. It's part of a 4-part suite, and there were 100 sets of them that were sold at a comic art gallery in New York City called Super Snipe. They're signed by McQuarrie, they're numbered, and then there are 2 pieces by Joe Johnston, the other artist on Star Wars, and they are also signed by Joe. A new technique which makes fine art even more affordable is giclée, which is basically a fine inkjet printing on canvas. So here's a wonderful piece by John Alvin, again with my favorite character, Obi-Wan, looking over Luke Skywalker. And probably one of the best pieces in the collection, John Berkey, who is a well-known science fiction artist. His technique is amazing. George Lucas hired him to do some atmospheric paintings for the first movie. And this piece was actually turned into a poster that was inserted in the double record album of Star Wars, that black album. Lucasfilm owns most of the Berkey art. This piece, however, was sold at an artist's rights foundation to raise money in 1978, and then resold just about a year and a half ago on eBay. The first piece of licensed sculpture was in 1990, done by an artist named Lawrence Noble, who is actually a 2-dimensional artist just starting to get into sculpting. When you're talking about art, one of the ways to start collecting is to approach well-known artists, graphic artists at fan conventions, and for varying prices, you can actually order up a piece of art at the convention. This was done by John J. Muth, and it's a wonderful, very Zen-like painting of Yoda. This piece was bought at a show at Comic-Con many years ago, and it's a wonderful paper collage, cut paper of an X-Wing fighter. This suite of 11 lithographs was Joe Johnston's original concept art of Boba Fett. Many things that Boba Fett is shown doing here couldn't be realized until Episode 2. It's great to be able to get an artist's composition, the original concept of a work, as well as the work itself. This is from Ken Stacy, a well-known Canadian artist, and this piece of art was used on everything from a Topps card to a book cover to a fine art lithograph. Then we go here into the Vader corner, a beautiful sculpture by Randy Bowen for Dark Horse, next to a Tim and Greg Hildebrandt painting that was done for Shadows of the Empire, and an Al Williamson super graphic, Al being one of the great comic artists of our time. If you know Stan Sakai comics, Usagi Yojimbo, here is the feudal rabbit going against Vader. I wonder who's going to win. Another one of my very favorite pieces, also done by Randy Martinez, called Dual Faces, the dark side versus the light side. And what art collection would be complete without a Darth Vader nutcracker, or two? Cells are a relatively new way to collect Star Wars art. Actually, there were some from the Droids and Ewok series, and now from Clone Wars. This is a hand-painted cell in background, and this is a more affordable Suracell, which is printed. Randy Bowen sculpture of Boba Fett was the first Dark Horse sculpture, sold out very quickly. And then there's fan art and fantasy art. This is my fantasy. Here I am playing a role in the original Star Wars movie.
Mos Eisley Spaceport. You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Not quite. Not quite. Finally, you remember the small Yoda sculpture. This is the prize of the collection. Lawrence Noble sculpted and cast in bronze a full-size Yoda. Lawrence gave one of these as a gift to George Lucas, who liked it so much that he put one outside Skywalker Ranch, outside the new Letterman Digital Art Center in San Francisco. And this is a great piece. It was available to fans, too. Well, I would love to show you a lot more art. In fact, I probably have 3 times, 4 times this amount, and it's very hard for me to pick and choose what I want to put up on the walls. And so every year or so, I change the art collection around. I've used Victorian picture molding and hooks, so it's very easy to change these things. So the next time you come back, I'm sure I'll have a lot of new stuff to show you. Thanks a lot. See you next time.